Hey there, people. So today I'm bringing you my new Terraria Destroyer guide, including expert mode and normal mode as well, covering the boss, how to spawn the boss, strategies, armor, weapons, preparation, showing you the boss fight, and covering the drops at the very end. This is a detailed guide, including the Mechanical Worm summoning item, the Mechanical Wagon Piece expert drop, suitable for expert, applicable for normal as well. It's just less necessary to be super prepared in normal mode. I will explain wherever there are differences between normal and expert or different game versions, and I will include timestamps in the description so you can jump to whatever section you really need. So first of all, about the boss. Well, the Destroyer is a gigantic mechanical worm. It's often thought of as a hard mode version of the Eater of Worlds. Like the Eater of Worlds, it burrows through the ground and can then come out to attack you. However, it does not break up into smaller segments like the Eater of Worlds does, and it fires lasers from attached probes. So there's red dots on it that are probes, and then as you destroy the boss, those probes will detach, and so either way, when they're attached or detached, they will fire lasers at you. Once those probes have detached, they can be destroyed individually. The probes themselves can pass through blocks, but the lasers cannot. And it's a 1/3 chance that the probes, when you kill them, will drop a heart, so that can be a good source of health during the fight. On pre-update mobile, until that update comes out or until you get it, and on 3DS, the probes will always drop hearts when destroyed, so even better source of health there. The Destroyer increases its attack speed as it loses health, and the highest contact damage from actually having it hit you is from its head. In expert mode, it fires faster as the player loses health, as in the lasers will fire that much faster. So spawning the Destroyer. Well, like all three mechanical bosses, the Destroyer can randomly spawn at night, any night after smashing at least one demon or crimson altar. And you'll see a message if it randomly spawns. Either you feel vibrations from deep below is one message, or the other one is you feel a quaking from deep underground. If you see that message and you're not ready yet, it's a good idea to flee well underground. You have to go a ways underground, and that should stop it from spawning. Once the Destroyer has been defeated in that world, it will stop randomly spawning. And by the way, if you are going to hide, you're going to have to hide all night. But once you've destroyed it, once you've defeated it, it will stop randomly spawning. Otherwise, whether you want to manually spawn it again later or whether you want to manually spawn it in the first place, you can do that by crafting the Mechanical Worm item, and you can use that at night and only at night to summon the Destroyer. So Mechanical Worm is crafted from 5 souls of night, 6 souls of night, 5 iron or lead bars, and 5 rotten chunks or vertebrae. And I actually had the, yeah, here they are. So souls of night, iron or lead bars, and vertebrae. And yeah, as I said, it's actually 6 souls of night, so actually I don't have enough. But I already made some, so I've got a couple mechanical worms there. And yeah, it's at your hard mode anvil, so you will need to have a mithril or orichalcum anvil before you can actually do that. And again, the summoning item will only work at night, and you can only summon the Destroyer at night with that item. Also, the Destroyer will only randomly spawn at night, and either way, you need to actually defeat it by dawn, before dawn comes, which if you have a watch in the game or a derivative, dawn is 4:30 a.m. So night starts at 7:30, dawn is at 4:30. You need to defeat it between those times. Otherwise, it will despawn, and you will not have defeated it. So let's talk about the actual battle. Both the Destroyer and its probes can inflict damage by physically hitting or running into you, the player, or from the lasers that they fire. The probes, you know, are originally part of the Destroyer and then come loose, of course. So the lasers or contact damage both count. The Destroyer is extremely long with 82 segments. It is 239 blocks long. It can move through the ground and through platforms, which is, you know, you have to be aware of that when building your arena. It can actually use your platforms to help it move as well. The Destroyer, as well as its probes, are immune to all debuffs. So you can't use Frostburn against it. You can't use Cursed Inferno or Ichor, Cursed Inferno, I know, pronunciation. But you cannot use any of those things against it, except on the pre-update mobile version, probably changed with the update, and on 3DS, it is not immune to the stunned effect from heart arrows that you can only get on those platforms. So you can use heart arrows to stun it on those particular things. Otherwise, on any other platform or in the absence of those, you can't use anything else to debuff it, give it a negative effect, do extra damage. So another thing that's worth noting as well, teleporting away will not work to try to escape the destroyer. It will not despawn. Doesn't matter where you are. If you teleport back with a mirror or otherwise, it will follow you, and it will not despawn if you try to run away. So other than the higher stats, of course, higher health, higher defense, in expert mode, the major other difference is that the head does that much higher damage. The head already does the most damage if the head runs into you, but on expert, it's like crazy high and it can kill you in like 2 hits, basically. So stay away from the head if you're playing an expert. Now, talking about an arena, it's best to avoid fighting it too close to your NPC village, which ironically, my main boss fight arena that I originally built in this world is obviously right next to my NPC village. So what I did is I kind of just extended a platform this way, and I do have my nurse up here so I can teleport back, but it's not generally a good idea to build your arena near your NPC village because the destroyer will kill your NPCs remarkably quickly and is well known as a great way of killing all your NPCs. Most people find that out the hard way first time they summon the destroyer or fight the destroyer. Most people, stick around their village, and it's going to kill all your NPCs really fast. But generally, an arena is just going to be, for the destroyer, a long platform like this, well above the ground. If anything, you might want it higher up than this. I did a couple practice runs, and it can easily, the destroyer can still come up this high pretty easily, so you probably want it, 1.5 to 2 times this high, I would say. And yeah, just a big long platform in an open area is generally the best. Since it burrows through the ground, it winds back and forth through the ground, it's best to get out of its way. And so the best thing to do is just to be up above it. So melee users may want to take a little bit of a different approach and have multiple levels of platforms so that they can get close enough to attack. If you are using a close-up weapon, you're going to need to get close, but you're also going to need to be able to get away. So multiple levels of platforms is an option there. It can, as I sort of mentioned, use walls and platforms to make its way higher. So don't do like a ton of stairs and a ton of walls and this and that. I don't recommend that because it can use those against you. And alternatively, you can actually fight it on the ground if you really want to. What you'll want to do in that case is basically run, have a big open area and just run really far, really fast. And that way you'll stretch it out because it's a giant worm. If you run far enough, fast enough, it'll stretch into one big line essentially. And that'll make it a little bit easier to dodge. Also, when it is going to attack you, it's actually kind of better to get like right above it and have it jump straight up out of the ground if you are on the ground, because then you can dodge one way or the other a little quicker. And something like the Shield of Cthulhu here or Tabby or something like that to dodge out of the way will get you out of its way, and it'll go straight up, and that'll actually give you more time to attack it and do some damage and also get away if you need to before it comes back down, because it takes a little bit. It doesn't like curl up super tight. So if it goes way up, it's going to need to sort of bend sort of slowly back. So you can do that on the ground as well. And another thing that you may have noticed here that I often do for certain things, but this one it works as well, to have a house near your arena and put your nurse in there with a bed, set your spawn point there, so that if you get too damaged, you can jump back to the nurse for a quick heal. But don't stick around the nurse too long, because the destroyer will kill your nurse as well. So let's move on though and talk about armor and weapons and so on. So as far as armor, titanium is going to be the best option if you have titanium available in your world. You do want good armor, especially an expert. Obviously, you're going to want the best armor that you can get your hands on. So if you have titanium in your world, or you're just willing to do a lot of fishing, because if you do fishing, you can get either, you can get all the ores that way. And that's actually what I did, because I didn't want the bosses randomly spawning, so I did a lot of fishing, and I managed to get full set of titanium armor just from fishing without breaking any altars. So that was my approach. But besides titanium armor, you can also use adamantite or orichalcum armor. Those will do the job. The orichalcum set bonus, it has those flowers that come and fly at enemies when you get a successful hit. So that can hit multiple segments and can do more damage. So if you really want highest damage output, actually orichalcum is your best bet, but the trade-off is lower defense. So I would still go with titanium, and titanium of course has that shadow dodge ability, which is going to come in real handy against a really high damage boss like the Destroyer. If you happen to be on the pre-update mobile, again, this is something that'll probably change with the mobile update coming soon, or if you're on 3DS, you can find a Drax in a shadow chest, even in pre-hard mode, and once you're in hard mode, you can mine chlorophyte with that. So if you happen to be on one of those platforms only, or if you brought a drill or a pickaxe in from another world that's strong enough, you can mine chlorophyte at that point and get chlorophyte armor, which will be even better. But in most cases, you're going to probably want titanium if you can get it, or adamantite, or orichalcum. So one sec, I'm going to talk about weapons. All right, so as far as weapons, generally piercing weapons, explosives, and other weapons that can hit multiple segments of the Destroyer will work the best. You want something like an area of effect or a piercing that will go through multiple pieces. Or even an auto swing or auto fire, gun, or an auto swing sword. Those things can work as well as it's passing by. If you can, get multiple hits as a destroyer's passing by, that can work as well. But those are the ideas. You want to be able to hit as many parts of it as possible at one time. Because that's how you're going to maximize your damage on the whole thing. And because it's made of multiple parts, you can get multiple hits and take its health down faster that way. So first of all, if you're on one of the updated platforms, the Daedalus Stormbow is almost certainly the way to go. Combined with holy arrows, this is kind of the legendary #1 strategy for the Destroyer. And obviously that's particularly for ranged players, but honestly, no matter your class, this is going to be actually a good option. Daedalus Stormbow with holy arrows is going to do massive damage to this boss. Because it's going to have a huge area of effect. There's stars that come off when the holy arrows hit, and that way you're just going to do, you're going to hit tons of segments a whole bunch of times, do a ton of damage. So Daedalus Stormbow is, simply put, the most effective option. But other area of effect or multiple hit arrows, such as Jester's arrows and Hellfire arrows, can also work, whether it's with the Daedalus Stormbow ideally, or even another bow like an adamantite or a titanium repeater can do okay, as long as you have good enough arrows. And yeah, so, and there's that shadow dodge, am I right? So didn't even get damage. So other options though, if you are a ranged player, you can also go with crystal bullets and a decent gun. Exploding bullets can also work well. The Uzi or Gatligator are available on all platforms. Those will be good go-to weapons at this point. You only get the Mega Shark, of course, after you defeat the Destroyer normally. So Uzi or Gatligator you can get at this point, and if you're lucky enough to get one, or you're willing to farm long enough to get an Uzi particularly, because the Gatligator's from the Traveling Merchant, not available on 3DS. But the Uzi you can get on all platforms, and if you happen to get the Traveling Merchant to give you the Gatligator, or if you're willing to farm or get lucky enough to get the Uzi, those are going to be excellent guns. If you are on one of the updated platforms, you can also make the Onyx Blaster, which I did here. I'm going to show you that later. So those are going to be good options as far as guns for ranged players. And again, crystal bullets are probably the way you're going to want to go. Exploding bullets can do a good job as well, but you'll have to be a little more careful with those. And another option for ranged players on updated platforms, you can either use the dart pistol with crystal bullets, or crystal darts, or Ichor darts, Ichor if you prefer, or you can use the dart rifle with cursed or crystal darts as well. So crystal darts with either of those, dart pistol or dart rifle. Obviously, dart pistol is in Crimson Worlds, so you can use that with Ichor darts, or the dart rifle is in Corruption Worlds, cursed or darts in those ones. And again, those are only on the updated platforms that you can get the dart rifle and the dart pistol and the darts to go with them. So if you are a melee player, on the other hand, you can get away actually with an auto swing sword. Again, if you can swipe the destroyer, auto swing, hit it a bunch of times as it's moving past you, that can actually do a lot of damage. A good spear is also a good option. I do have a titanium trident, which I've mostly been using for defense while I've been farming for things. But even better, if you have defeated one of the mechanical bosses, one of the other ones maybe, you can also get the Excalibur sword or the mushroom spear. Those are going to be excellent if you have access to them. Other options for melee players include the Tao of Pow flail and the ice sickle, available on all platforms. Those are good options. And on the updated platforms, you can also get the Shadow Flame knife, the flying knife, or if you're even better, you can get the fetid Bagnax. They're going to tear the destroyer apart if you can get up close enough. Of course, you're going to have to be very careful, but those do just huge damage. And again, you can get it as it's going by. If you can get close enough, fetid Bagnax, massive damage on the updated platforms. And the Nimbus Rod, actually, it's a magic weapon, but it is useful for all classes. This is the one, of course, that creates these clouds, and those clouds just hit whatever's passing through. And the destroyer, it's giant, it's going to be passing through, so that gives you basically passive damage. It's going to be particularly, if you are a mage or a magic user, you can get some boosts to boost the damage from that. But all platforms, all classes will want to consider the Nimbus Rod, and of course you get that from angry Nimbuses during rainstorms. And this actually was really useful while I was digging around trying to wall off my Hallow and Crimson as well. If you're digging something vertically, you put a couple of these up, any worms or whatever they pass through, a similar idea. So it's massively useful against the destroyer in much the same way. And if you happen to have a Crimson Rod from pre-hard mode sitting around, it doesn't hurt to throw that in the mix as well. But for magic users, you will also want to consider the Golden Shower, the Magic Dagger, or any other piercing weapons. Those are available on all platforms. And if you happen to have defeated the twins first before you fight the destroyer, you can also craft the Magical Harp. That's going to be an excellent option. It's the one that fires the notes, and they are piercing notes. So that's going to be awesome if you happen to defeat the twins first. Now, if you are on one of the updated platforms, the Meteor Staff is highly recommended. Rains down meteors from above, area effect. What's not to love? The only thing about it is that it does burn through a fair bit of mana, but it is a very effective weapon. Also, other options on updated platforms include the Life Drain, the Clinger Staff, the Shadow Flame Hex Doll, and even the Medusa Head, which I happen to have one of those here as well. The Medusa Head, on the updated platforms that are not PC and don't yet, as of current of this video, don't have the 1.3.1 equivalent update yet. So PS4, Xbox One, they're supposed to get that update a little later, but so far they don't have it. So the Medusa's head actually is different in the initial 1.3 update versus the 1.3.1. So Medusa's head is less powerful currently on PS4 and Xbox One, and probably mobile when it first comes out. But PC and coming later to those platforms, it was made into a hard mode weapon only, and it's more powerful. It has higher damage on PC, and again, later it should get that on the others as well. You can see it has 48 with my current stats. And that is more than you'll have on the pre-1.3.1 version. of the Medusa head. So anyway, moving right along, if you are a summoner, you don't want to be a summoner on 3DS because you're not going to have anything yet. But on other platforms, if you're a summoner, it doesn't matter what other platform you're playing on, you will want the Spider Staff. And also you should get the Queen Spider Staff as a sentry in addition to the Spider Staff itself. If you have defeated the twins, you can also use the Optic Staff, but the Spider Staff itself actually is going to be quite effective because the Destroyer does primarily spend a lot of time burrowing in and out of the ground. You can just have those spiders. It doesn't matter. They can run around on the ground and they're going to do quite a bit of damage there. If you really want to as a summoner, you can build in some background walls for your spiders to run up and down as well. That should help them hit the Destroyer a little more. And if you are on PC, or if eventually the 1.3.4 update comes to other platforms, but currently only on PC, after you've defeated one of the mechanical boss, you can get decent sentries from the Old One's Army event. So the Ballistic Cane or the Lightning Aura Cane can also be very effective as sentries as well. But generally, Queen Spider Staff is going to be available for sure. And the regular Spider Staff for your actual summons is going to be the way to go with, in that case, you're going to want probably spider armor as well. So let's then talk about accessories and buffs. Well, first thing you're going to want is the emblem for whatever class you're playing to boost your damage output. So I just happened to get a Ranger emblem from the Wall of Flesh. You can farm the Wall of Flesh to get the emblem for your class. Now, if you're pre-update, there's no Summoner emblem, but if you have the 1.3 equivalent update, you can get a Summoner emblem as well. But the Warrior, Ranger, and Mage emblems, Magic emblems, are available on all platforms. And if you are on a pre-update platform, there is a trade-off there that you can actually craft the Avenger emblem by this point. If you're on a pre-update platform, you just need to get all three of the class emblems that are available, turn it into Avenger emblem, and then you can even add that with your class-specific emblem as well. The updated platforms, you have to defeat all of the mechanical bosses to get the Avenger emblem. But in terms of other accessories, wings and or good boots are going to be an excellent idea. The best available normally at this point of the game, if you're just getting to the Destroyer, are going to be the Frozen or the Leaf Wings. I happen to have the Leaf Wings, which are easy to get by putting your Witch Doctor in the jungle and going and talking to him at night with a Platinum. You can buy the Leaf Wings. Frozen Wings you can craft. And Lightning or Frost Spark boots are a good idea. Now, you don't necessarily need both boots and wings. And you can get away, instead of wings, you could still use your like Cloud in a Balloon or that kind of thing with your rocket boots, put in there as well. You can get away with that, but at this point you can get wings, so probably you want wings, and you don't necessarily need all of those things. Basically, you want to be able to dodge at least. You want something that's going to allow you to dodge horizontally at least, if not run. And you want something that's going to allow you to jump or fly high enough to get out of its way as well, because it's going to be coming all directions and you need to be able to get out of its way. So for that reason, I also have my Shield of Cthulhu. It's a good option as well. But yeah, if you have enough, damage boosting or defense accessories, you don't necessarily need these. You could swap one of those out for something that's going to help your damage or whatever. That's an option. Other accessories that are going to help you, the Cross Necklace, or even better, the Star Veil, which is, I believe, crafted from that, will help you to avoid damage further as well. And the Star Veil, of course, is better because it also has stars that come off when you get damaged that are going to do a little extra damage to the boss. The Frozen Turtle Shell and or the Expert Only Worm Scarf item from pre-hard mode, either of those, both of those, will help you to remove or reduce damage taken. The Charm of Myths is going to be useful to help with health regeneration and also to reduce your health potion cooldown time. The Obsidian Shield is going to be particularly excellent for melee players. because it's going to remove the knockback, so you're going to be able to move more freely and not get knocked around and do more damage where you want to do it. But it can help other classes as well. Obsidian Shield can still be good. Moon Charm is also going to be very helpful, particularly for melee users. That's going to boost your stats. Can be useful for others if you happen to have it. Magic Quiver is excellent if you're using the Daedalus Stormbow or any other bow or repeater. You're going to want that Magic Quiver ideally. And magic users will likely want Magic Cuffs or Celestial Cups to help restore mana. Magic users, if you're on a pre-update platform, you can also consider the Celestial Emblem, because again, that's a derivative of the Avenger Emblem, which pre-update people can craft at this point. If you are on one of the updated platforms, on the other hand, if you're in a corruption world and you still have space in your inventory, you can also get the Putrid Scent, which is going to boost your damage and critical strike. And as always, you're going to want to make sure to reforge your weapons and accessories to get a good modifier to boost the stats. So for accessories, you'll want either Menacing if you're trying to maximize your damage output, or Warding if you want to maximize defense. If you're playing on Expert like I am, you may prefer Warding, so most of these are Warding. I only got Armored for my wings, but everything else here is Warding to boost my defense. Oh, actually not the yo-yo bag, but I might want to reforge that. And yeah, your weapons as well. I haven't really bothered, but it is a really good idea to reforge those if you have the money and the time and so on. Just go to your Goblin Tinkerer, pay him some money, reforge your stuff. Also, in terms of other boosts, the Well-Fed buff, particularly important on Expert because you get a penalty if you don't have it, so you're going to want some kind of food. And any kind of potions that you're willing to put together will give you an edge as well. So things like Iron Skin, Regeneration, and Swiftness are pretty basic. Iron Skin, Regeneration, Endurance, and Life Force are all going to help you survive. So I have those: Iron Skin, Regeneration, Life Force, even Heart Reach to help pick up those hearts. And also Swiftness, as I mentioned, is good for mobility. For magic users, you're going to want Mana Regeneration and Magic Power. And Endurance here, that's one that you can see. Some of these require fish, so you can do some fishing if you really want to maximize your edge. Do some fishing in some different biomes, get some different fish to make some of these potions. You might want to check my potions guide if you want more details on that, and some of those other ones that come from fish as well. Rage or Wrath, depending Crimson or Corruption. I'm in a Crimson world, so I've got Rage here, increases your critical strike chance. Wrath increases your damage, I believe, if I recall correctly. And also Archery Potion if you are using, again, the Daedalus Stormbow strategy or some other bow or repeater. Archery is going to help you out there. Actually, huge boost, both to speed and damage, as you can see. And if you are a summoner, you're going to want the Summoning Potion. I'm not a summoner, but I brought it anyway. And also, Ale or Sake can help melee users, particularly for melee damage. But it's worthy to note that it does reduce your defense. So you can boost your damage output as a melee user with Ale or Sake. Alcohol, essentially, and it will lower your defense, though. And also things like these: the Bewitching Table for summoner boosts, the Crystal Ball for magic boosts, the Ammo Box for reducing your ammo use as a ranged player, and the Sharpening Station for melee users to increase your melee damage. So let's talk strategies. Well, generally, you want to be as mobile as possible to avoid being hit by the destroyer itself and the lasers. So again, platform out of the way. Any other boosts like the Swiftness Potion, things like your boots, your wings, to help you stay mobile. And if you don't mind, interesting strategy actually, if you don't mind farming and working with mechanisms, you can actually use fireworks and or cannons from the pirate invasion. Fireworks from your party girl. You can, potentially wire a bunch of them up, wait for the destroyer to come, hit the switch or whatever, and hit them with all those fireworks. That is actually a viable option. And also cannons from the pirate invasion. You can set those up, fire cannons at the destroyer, because the cannonballs will pierce multiple segments, and ultimately that will do a ton of damage. I'm not going to do that today, but those are options. It is also possible, instead of the long platform approach, to use a small box with some honey, heart statues maybe, you know, your little, you'll want your campfire for sure, and your heart lantern. These are going to help your regeneration. But if you combine those, some honey, and whatever else you can do to boost your regeneration and healing, you can actually get away with just making a box, using either something that ricochets a lot inside that box, so as the destroyer passes through, it gets hit by the ricocheting weapon, or a powerful melee weapon, such as the Fetid Bagnax. Again, that can work with the box approach as well. So, I am going to skip ahead to the boss fight. I need to do one or two things to prepare here, and I'll be right back with that. Okay, so we're just about ready for the boss fight. Now, the funny thing is, I'm not super prepared, even though it's expert mode. I'm not amazingly prepared. I am going to use these things that I talked about here, but you'll notice I actually don't have a lot of the accessories that I talked about specifically. By the way, if you are doing a yo-yo, you'll want a yo-yo bag for sure. I did just go and reforge that. I did do some basic reforging on my weapons while I was waiting for night to come here. I'm using a ton of potions, but again, not really using a lot of those. So we'll use the potions, and I just have an imp staff. I never bothered to go and get the spider staff yet. So, you know, it's going to be kind of funny. But I do have this combination of weapons that ultimately should do the job. So let's go ahead and summon the destroyer. And I just want to show you some of the different weapons. That's why I got my yo-yo bag there. And it's funny, actually, just having the Nimbus Rod there, it actually already did enough damage to spawn a whole bunch of these probes. You can see the firing rate in Expert. Now, I'm going to want to move right along here, and here's the Onyx Blaster with the crystal bullets. Does a ton of damage as well. And it is going to be, you know, pretty important to keep on those probes. Those probes can really hurt you pretty bad if you're not careful. Let's do the Meteor Staff. Now, I am using ranged gear mostly, so I'm going to run out of mana pretty fast there. But you're going to want to refresh your Nimbus Rod if you're using that as well. This might be a good option, a good time to use that. And a good time to beam back to my nurse, get a quick heal. Try not to be here too long, because I don't want the destroyer to kill her. And now I think we can break out the Daedalus Stormbow. And this is going to do massive damage and take down this boss actually really fast. It's going to be a challenge with most of those other weapons, but as you can see, Daedalus Stormbow really gets the job done. So there we go. Good. I was a little worried where the bag would be. Thankfully, it was on the surface. So I got the bag, and we won the battle, you know, with the help of the Daedalus Stormbow. I think in the absence of that, honestly, it would have been really hard for me to win that. I may have won. I may have died if I hadn't used that weapon. But the Daedalus Stormbow really is the way to go if you definitely want to get the job done. And when I was starting to get nervous there, I just switched to my Daedalus Stormbow, and as you can see, finished it off really quite quickly then. Anyway. So let's talk about drops. So the destroyer always drops 20 to 40 souls of might, its unique souls, the souls of might, which you can use to make the Mega Shark, among other things. It also always drops 5 to 15 greater healing potions and 15 to 35 hallowed bars. The destroyer has a 1 in 7 chance to drop the destroyer mask and a 1 in 10 chance to drop the destroyer trophy. On the old gen consoles only, there's also a 1 in 7 chance that it will drop the Vanity Horned God robe, which is interesting. In expert mode, it always drops the Mechanical Wagon Piece in its treasure bag. Of course, expert, you always get the treasure bag and you always get the item in it. The Mechanical Wagon Piece in this case, and that is 1/3 of the components for the mechanical cart, which is what you get in Expert. When you defeat all 3 of the mechanical bosses, you get all 3 parts to make the mechanical cart, which is a minecart with like lasers and stuff. So that's going to be pretty awesome when I finish that up. And as with all hard mode treasure bags, you have a 1 in 20 chance to get a full set of developer items, only in hard mode, only in Expert. So let's see what I got here. Bam, I got the Destroyer Mask. I got Souls of Might, 34 of them, which is pretty good. 32 Hallowed Bars. Yeah, that's on the higher end of both of those, so I did well there. And I got the Mechanical Wagon Piece as well, so I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, that's the Destroyer, and that's how you kill it, and that's what you get. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.